Hello students, this is Dr. Faizan Mirza. We are discussing mechanics of breathing. In mechanics of breathing, I plan to cover the muscles which are involved in inspiration and expiration and how the muscles actually enable the diameter or the region inside the chest cavity or the thoracic cavity to increase. So when the volume inside the thoracic cavity increases, the pressure decreases according to Boyle's law and air flows in. And when expiration is occurring, the thoracic volume decreases. When the thoracic volume decreases, the pressure in the thoracic cavity increases and the air is pushed out. So which muscles are involved in this kind of mechanics of breathing? So starting off with the muscles of breathing, the inspiratory muscles, the muscles which are important for inspiration. The main muscle is the diaphragm, which is important for our breathing. This diaphragm, it's a thin dome-shaped muscle inserted into the lower ribs, and the phrenic nerve innervates and controls the movement of diaphragm. Phrenic nerves is moving from C3, C4 and C5 segments of the spinal cord or of the vertebral column. The diaphragm can move 1 centimeter in tidal volume and up to 10 centimeters in forceful breathing. So you can see the immense difference it can create inside the thoracic cavity. The change in volume can be enormous just by the movement of diaphragm. A breathing called as paradoxical breathing is abnormal, highly abnormal pattern of breathing. In this, the diaphragm moves up but in an abnormal manner. Because during breathing, the diaphragm is supposed to go down in inspiration, but in paradoxical breathing, diaphragm comes up. The normal way in which the diaphragm is moving downwards when you breathe in, this increases the vertical diameter of the thoracic cavity. The rib margins are raised. This increases the transverse diameter of the thoracic cavity as well. And you can just picture this, that when the diameter of the thoracic cavity is increasing in these directions, the volume is increasing. This is what I'm mentioning. The volume increases, and when the volume increases, the pressure lowers up, and following Boyle's law, the air moves in to the lungs. The muscles which are involved in breathing when expiration is involved, no, not expiration. We are still in inspiration. So we are moving from the muscle which is diaphragm to the external intercostal muscles, which are also involved in inspiration. What are external intercostal muscles? The intercostal muscles are what we see when we eat the ribs. When you eat, you must have seen ribs of animals, of goats and cows or lamb probably. So the flesh or the meat part attached to the ribs is actually intercostal muscles. So all the dishes where we use ribs, actually we are using intercostal muscles there. So the intercostal muscles, they connect adjacent ribs and they slope downwards and forward in human beings and in mammals other than human beings as well. They increase the lateral and the anterior-posterior diameter of the thoracic cavity. The nerve which is involved here is the intercostal nerve that innervates the external intercostal muscles. Paralysis of these muscles is not severe. It doesn't cause any severe abnormality to breathing. And I think you can recall this. Why is this not causing any severe side effect? Then there are some accessory muscles of inspiration that we have to discuss. For example, the scalene muscle. It elevates the first two ribs. Sternum is raised by sternomastoids. Alanaceae, these are the ones that cause flaring of nostrils. And muscles of neck and head are involved in extension of neck and lifting of the head. So all these muscles, they help in increasing the chances of air going into the lungs. So this is all active process. When we move to expiration, exhalation. So in expiration, it's mainly a passive process. It's just the elastic recoil of the thoracic cavity and the thoracic wall. The muscles of breathing which are including expiration, we'll be discussing those, but it's basically passive during quiet breathing, because lungs and the chest wall are all very well elastic and they can very well recoil upon this after stretching. But during exercise or during forceful expiration becomes active and it starts using contraction of muscles. So which muscles are involved here? The muscle which is involved in expiration is rectus abdominis, as well as the internal and external oblique muscles. The transverse abdominis is also used here. All these muscles, they contract, and when they contract, the intra-abdominal pressure rises. And why this pressure rises? Because the volume decreases. Again, applying Boyle's law there. So the diaphragm is pushed away, and when the diaphragm is pushed away, the thoracic volume decreases. When the thoracic volume decreases, the pressure inside the thoracic cavity increases, and this pushes out the air out of the thoracic cavity. That's it from my side about the muscles involved in respiration. Thank you.